train and fly and actually land the plane and the check rides that he gets. So I mean, I'm confident that he's not an imposter.
Right.
And that he knows how to do that. So I would say trust is a big part of that. But I have evidence to back that up. And my evidence is the fact that he's in the cockpit flipping switches, doing checklists in the appropriate manner. He taxis the airplane out.
But you don't know what's in his heart. I mean, I hate to bring up a recent tragedy, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just like, you don't know whether or not somebody who's got some serious challenges in their life.
That's a great example. It's a great example. But I would say that I would have to trust him and I would have confidence in him.
Sure.
But if I used faith, then I would use no evidence. And it would be hard for me to close that gap without using evidence. So you also said, when you were talking about faith and you talked about you were brought up in the church, how much do you think of your cultural upbringing was part of your religious belief now?
Oh, a lot of it. You know, I've always been active as a kid in the church. And, you know, when you grow up and you get older, you know, sometimes you have those ways where you're not as involved. I'd probably say for like the last 8 months, my faith has gotten stronger. My relationship with God's gotten stronger. I'm a much better place than where I was, let's say, like a year ago. So yeah, I mean, the basic foundations of the way that I was brought up sticks with you.
Have you ever thought about what if you were born in Iran? Do you think you'd still be a Roman Catholic?
Oh, I don't know. I have a hard time doing the what if scenario. I don't know.
I've talked to a lot of other people on Twitter and things like that are from around the world, and that's the one question that I can't find a good answer to, is how much culture has to do with your religious belief.
You know, it's an interesting point. I think it plays a huge part in it. Sort of the traditions of the way that you grow up.
So I have one last question, and I'll let you go. I know it's cold, but and I appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah.
It's an awesome day, and as I start to look and explore and try to find the truth, you know, that's what ultimately what I want to know is what the truth is. There's one foundational method that I look for, and that's falsifiability or testability. And how do you think you could test your faith or test your belief to know that it is true?
Well, I mean, well, you can't test God. But I tell you, don't put the Lord your God to the test. Right? I don't know. I think there's just some things that, like, you know, a few years ago, bad things happen, so you get angry. What are you doing, God? But then, you know, when you have, prayer is such a great way of sort of rectifying these things, and learning different ways and methods of how to pray, and you know, the constant education that goes along with that. I think, to me, it's just challenging yourself about creating good habits for yourself, and
how does prayer work for you?
Prayer is a constant thing in I pray daily.
Does it work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I think that's a direct reflection of prayer, and it's not like God, you know, allow me to have a job that I want to do, and then he's like, okay, here it is. You know, it doesn't really work that way. It's not like I'm a kid asking a parent for $10 and then.
So you couldn't, you know, cure cancer or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah, I can't cure cancer. But I think that when you, you know, create good habits and really are focused on becoming the best version of yourself, then you start hearing more prayers and things
you say you hear the prayers, you mean you see them fulfilled?
Yeah, or you see, you're much more aware of peaceful and stillness, and I think that's sort of a self-fulfillment.
How much of that would you say could just be the fact that you are a good person? And it has nothing to do with your prayer. It has to do with how hard you work and your ethic.
Well, I believe that God, Jesus, walks with me on any path that I'm on. Walks with me every day. It's a small, simple prayer that I pray. And I feel it and I see it. Like, our conversation is just another opportunity to see God through other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have, like, what, a 15-minute conversation about it. It's good. Does that mean that, like, we were predestined to meet at this space and time? No, it's an opportunity to talk and communicate and share and witness, I guess. But I don't. I believe that I have certain abilities and certain talents that are God-given. And prayer and reflection isn't just about asking for things, it's also about giving thanks for things. It's asking, centering yourself, I guess, and being aware of what, being aware of God's presence in your life every day. So yeah, I think, being a good person, I'd like to think that alone, that good things happen. But bad things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, good things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people. There's
every different religion. And that's an interesting thing, because I've had this conversation again before, and I've heard a Muslim say exactly the same thing about their religion and how their religion is right, and that it's kind of hard on a Twitter conversation, but that if you believe in Allah, then you're destined for heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how would I falsify that claim? How would I test it to make sure that that's not true, to find the truth?
I don't think it's, see, for me, I'm not interested in falsifying Allah. I'm worried about my relationship with Christ and what it is that I'm doing. And I mean, me personally, I don't spend a whole lot of time, even with Protestant religions, I don't spend a whole lot of time worrying about the differences between our dogmas or the way that we do things. I think it's important that, like I said before, about whatever's in your heart, it's good and true, and be that best version of yourself that you can be. If people think that the way to heaven is through Allah, and Allah provides a great life for them on earth, I mean, I'd say it's great, man. It's just my way, my faith, my tradition, all these things that we talk about. To me, it's Jesus Christ.
Awesome.
And the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Great conversation. Appreciate it.